Your business is not unlike the National Basketball Association, because what we heard last week from Alonzo Mourning was that he has this terrible kidney ailment. And Shaquille O'Neal came out and said, I'm scared because I got to take anti-inflammatories every day of my life so I can play 82 games and drag this big frame up and down the court. He says, I blame the NBA for having to do that. Can you, in your sport, say, you know, I don't want to take the anti-inflammatories and the painkillers, and I'll just sit out and still be respected? I'm talking legal drugs here, not illegal drugs. Stuff that I get when I go to the doctor if I get aches and pains. But in your case, you've got to wrestle all of these evenings. Can you say, no, I don't want to do it?
I can honestly say that for myself, no. But
no what? I'm sorry, I just have to clarify.
No, that I don't say, you know, I have to wrestle, or, you know, I don't want to, or I'm very vocal. I don't feel that I have as much competition amongst the guys to outdo them, because I just do different stuff from them. And if you know, some things do scare me, so I'll say I'm simply not doing that, and I'm more vocal about that. But I do tend to get wound up sometimes about guys that I very much care about, sometimes that I'm closer, and I see them doing things that I wish they wouldn't do.
You must go to Hunter. You must say, you know, take the night off. You're hurt. Didn't he hurt his elbow? Do I remember him, you know, quite seriously? But he kept going and kept slugging it out.
Yes.
And do you see, was it his ankle that he had hurt? He had been injured.
His knee.
His knee.
His knee.
Well, I had all kinds of limbs and joints I was throwing out.
You know, yeah, I mean.
But does he feel a compelling need to go out night after night because he's the top guy? And if he says to the company, look, you know, I'm not wrestling, all of a sudden that card isn't nearly as interesting.
But they wouldn't say that, because they outdo each other, and they you know, again, want to stay in that spot. So yeah, I mean, there's an enormous amount of pressure. But on the other hand, you know, Vince McMahon himself could tell them, don't go out there, and they would do it anyways.
Really? So the drive doesn't just come for the fear that I'm working for a company, which is what Shaq was saying, but the drive comes from within, which is, if I take a few nights off, I may come back as number 2.
Well, that's not the kind of vacation you want to take. I mean, that's one of the questions. When do you have time for vacation? Well, what do you do on your free time? Well, I don't have any. And especially now, I'm doing all this other stuff, you know. Every day for me is filled. I haven't gone home in a month. But you know, that's by choice too, because I know that I have to promote what I'm doing, and I have to be out there, and I want to be in the game. And people are fickle, out of sight, out of mind, out of storyline, and that's not a position that you want to be in.
All right. I'll read you the last part of the quote from Venus Williams. She said, I don't like to play with pain because it can make it a lot worse. I'm wondering, because
She's never played with pain before?
If this were other sports, though, there would have been someone standing in the walkway and going like this to her, get out there. Yeah. I don't care if you're in pain. You say it's okay. I'm not sure I agree.
I mean, honestly, like, if you were having a sore back and you're like, no, it's too tight, are you going to go out? I mean, or you would go out, or they change something.
They'd freeze her up and send you out, wouldn't they?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm waiting. What do they do?
You go out there and you work.
Yes, you do.
And that's what you do.
You can't work a different angle.
Again, you're in a different business.
And nobody's going to force you, but I think, you know, nobody's forcing you, but there's so much pressure to go out there and to perform.
I've gone on stage with laryngitis.
Even as an athlete, when you get to that point, if it's a big match, which every match is a big match, then you go out and you perform.
I'm not going
you know,
out.
there's so much more involved than what people see on the television.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about an enormous amount of money. You're talking about television ratings. You're talking about all these things that you can't just say, you know, my knee's a little sore, and I'm not going to
really good that a lot of the
match tonight.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Do you want to body slam me? Please.
Do that table right there.
There were 10,000 people in the stands there, and there were 10,000 people who paid to see that match, because this was the night match, and they had come back in. The equivalent, and you've kind of partially answered this, if you take this to wrestling, and there's an arena full of people, 10,000, and maybe it's a television event, maybe it's not, and you got a sore knee, there's no talking here, right? You have to go out, no question.
First of all, it would be a complete joke if I didn't, and I would never, the pressure of being respected by my peers and in front of an audience is one thing. The responsibility to the audiences is another thing. And 3, because physically, within myself, I would want to do it so badly. that I would make myself do it
You're a
unless
competitor,
unless
right.
I physically
Told you she was
could
Wonder Woman.
not.
Okay,
I'm convinced.
take me to the situation on the court now. We just got a few seconds. You're talking to Venus Williams, and she's going out there, and you paid to see it because maybe you're a tennis fan, right? What do you, as a competitor in the WWF, say to Venus Williams to get her out on the court?
Get your ass off the bench and go out and play and do your job.
Okay, I'll be good.